In this lecture, we're going to talk about simplifying radicals and exponent expressions. So looking at the first example, I see a radical and an exponent. And right away I realize that this exponent can be rewritten as a radical. So now I'm going to bring down everything that I haven't touched. Now this is something that you can combine using like terms. I have 4 square root of 7 plus 3 square root of 7. So that means I'm going to have 7 square root of 7. I just added together the 4 and the 3. Now for this next one, I notice that this exponent is on the outside. So I'm going to distribute it in to the inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to have 16 to the 1/2 power. And then x, now if you take your calculator and take 10 times 1/2, you get 5. And then the y's, 20 times 1/2 is going to be 10. Now you don't want to have a fractional exponent if you can help it. So right away I notice that I can put it as a square root. And I'm going to bring everything else down. Now you should notice the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is going to be 4. So my answer is 4x to the 5th, y to the 10th. For example 3, the first thing I'm going to look at is the radical. So I'm going to bring everything else down that I don't need to deal with yet. So this radical can actually be rewritten as a fraction to the 1/4 power. So now I'm going to distribute in that 1/4 power into the parentheses. And I'm going to get 16 to the 1/4 power. And then x, if you take your 8 times 1/4, you get 2. So now I need to bring everything else down. So I'm going to have 15x to the 4th, y to the 7th, divided by y to the 9th, 16 to the 1/4, x squared. So to go through and simplify this, let's look at the variables first. Take a look at the x's. So I'm going to have 4 minus 2, and that's just going to be x squared. Now, taking a look at the y's, I have 7 minus 9, and that's going to be negative 2. I'm going to bring the 15 down here, and then the 16 to the 1/4, I'm going to take my calculator and do 16 to the 1/4, and I'm going to get 2 as my answer. Now, the last thing to look at are the negative exponents. That's going to be a negative 2, so I need to bring it to the bottom of my fraction and change it to a positive. For the last example, I have everything multiplied together. So I'm going to start with the numbers first. So 16 times 16 is going to be 256. And actually I messed up there because I forgot that the 16s actually have an exponent on them. So because the 16s are the same, I'm going to add the exponents. So if I have a calculator and I add these together, I'm going to get that the fraction is going to be 2 over 2, so that's just going to be an exponent of 1. Now the x's have an exponent of 5 over 4 and 7 over 4. So I'm going to add them together and get 12 over 4. And if you simplify it, that's going to be x to the 3rd. And the last thing I need to look at are my y's. So I have 2 to the third and 4 to the third. So when I add them together, that's going to be y to the 6 over 3. And if I simplify that, that's going to be y squared. So I'm going to bring down everything that I just did. I have 16 y cubed, or x cubed, sorry, and y squared.